Welcome back to Stuttering Sports. Today is August 8th, 2021, and the topic for today is the Washington football team 2021-2022 season preview. If you did not watch the Chargers one that I dropped a few days back, the way this will work is I'm going to go through the roster, explain what I believe Washington's strengths and weaknesses are, then highlight their expectations moving into the season. Then typically I will go game by game and explain my predictions for each game and what their record will be. But that's not going to be the case with this one, because this is a special one. This is a weird one. I'm going to explain why Washington really is unpredictable, but overall highlight my expectations for what I think their record will be. If that's a turn off for you, then click off the video. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off with the defense, because that's what we all want to talk about. This is one of the best defenses in football, and having Ron Rivera as your head coach is such a plus for such a unit. Obviously, the mainstay of this defense is the defensive line. 4 first-round picks on one D-line is nuts, headlined by Chase Young, 2nd overall pick. This defensive line can give anyone hell. Offensive coordinators and running backs, quarterbacks, offensive linemen should be afraid the night before they play. Like every Saturday night before you play Washington, you should be afraid because you have to deal with Chase Young, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Montez Sweat. All of those guys are studs. One of the issues with their team last year was they did not have a strong linebacker presence. What did they do to address that? They drafted linebacker Jamin Davis during the first round, which was a great pickup to me. He is very versatile, and he's like that Devin Bush type of player where he is all over the field. He has so much speed, so much potential, and he's being coached up by Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera, aka 2 former linebackers. This dude's put into a great situation. Looking at their secondary, they picked up William Jackson III during the offseason. Great pickup. Now you have him playing alongside Kendall Fuller, who had 4 picks last year. That's a fantastic duo there. They have Landon Collins, who they're paying too much money for, but he's still a viable safety. So this is a really good secondary. But we all know that defensive line, that front 7, is nuts. They drafted Jamin Davis. Fantastic to me. He's being coached up by great guys. But the pressure is not on Davis as much. There really isn't much pressure on the linebacker group at all, because the front 4 is that absurd and is the best defensive line in football hands down, and they're all extremely young. It's fucking scary. That is the mainstay of this team, is that defensive line. The whole defense is very good. They have one of the best overall defenses in the league, but wow, that defensive line speaks for itself. Moving on to the offense, let's start off with the passing game. Ryan Fitzpatrick is your QB. There's nothing special there. There is nothing special about the passing game. I really like the weapons. Terry McLaurin is a number 1 receiver. They have Curtis Samuel, who's a good gadget guy, and they drafted Dyami Brown, who's a home run hitter. You throw it deep to him, he'll probably get it. That was his whole thing at UNC. He can also be a gadget guy. When you look at the running backs, both are really good pass catchers. Antonio Gibson, we're going to get to him soon. I love Antonio Gibson, but he's a very good pass catcher. And then J.D. McKissick is an even better pass catcher. You literally dump it off to McKissick. He's getting 7-8 yards every single time. Looking at the tight end, Logan Thomas, he had a really good 2020. He finally had his kind of breakout year after bouncing around. He had his breakout year as a tight end, and he played really well. He's a great security blanket for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and so is Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick, as you have the home run hitters in Dyami Brown, Curtis Samuel, and you also have the number 1 in Terry McLaurin. I love the weapons. If you put a franchise QB in this, they are feasting. But I don't blame them for not drafting a QB. 1, because no one fell to them. And 2, I love them just stacking the defense as much as they can. Load it up with potential with Jamin Davis after you already hit home run after home run after home run with the D-line. And you hit a home run signing William Jackson and bringing back Kendall Fuller. So I'm very happy they did not force like trading up for a QB or drafting a QB. They got in Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's good. He's fine. There's nothing special about him. Taylor Heineke had the playoff game, but all the reports are pretty clear-cut. Fitzpatrick will be the starting QB. I really like the weapons. I think there's a lot of versatility to all of them, which is essential nowadays. But with Fitzpatrick at QB, this is only going to be an average to below average passing game. That just is how that is. Looking at the rushing game, I talked about him previously. I love Antonio Gibson. 11 rushing touchdowns and 4.7 yards per carry in your rookie year is nuts. That's nuts. We all need to take a minute to just appreciate that. That's insane. And hopefully, we don't know with running backs, but hopefully he will get better. I expect him to because he was a stud last season. Looking at J.D. McKissick, he's more of a pass catcher back than an actual running back. He's a fine number 2 as a normal running back, but he's more there for the pass catching ability. Antonio Gibson's your number 1, and he's really good at it. Looking at the offensive line, I think it's good, not great. You brought in Charles Leno Jr. pretty late because the Bears cut him pretty late, but that was a really good pickup to me. You also drafted Samuel Cosmi, who has been taking first team reps, but that right tackle position between Samuel Cosmi and Cornelius Lucas is an interesting one. I don't think either are going to be great, but I will say having that depth is very good. I love their guards. Obviously, Brandon Sheriff was like the number 6 overall pick for a reason. He's a stud. And then Eric Flowers, they brought him back too. Cool pickup to me. And they also have a good center in Chase Roulier, who continues to get better as he's starting to enter his prime now. So overall, I like this offense. I think the passing game will be meh, but I love the weapons. I think the running game will be good because I love Antonio Gibson. And the offensive line is good. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with anything in this offense. There's just Ryan Fitzpatrick at QB, which isn't bad, but there's a reason why he's bounced around the league. He's good, kinda, but he has his moments where he pops off or he's gonna be shit. I think he's gonna be good, though. So overall, the expectations for this team is top 3 defense and an offense that's good, not great, just kind of implementing the new guys and just developing people. That is completely good with me. Looking at this season, though, actually getting to the season preview part, I spent a lot of time on that. But getting to the games now, I was having a lot of trouble kind of deciding which games were wins and losses, and I figured out why. Because this team is unpredictable. The way Washington will win football games and will really play this year is in the mud. They will play as a team that is low scoring and defensive first, which I love that style of team, but it makes them unpredictable because let's just say one week they can play a great QB and shut them down because they have the defense to do that. But in another week they can play a good, not great QB, but let's just say someone gets burnt because it simply happens. Like, that just happens. And then they put up 24 points and it's over because your offense can't really compete. That will also happen to average type teams. My only main critique with the offense and why I'm saying it's going to be low scoring is because as I think they're good, the teams they have to go up against, they're not easy outs. There are a lot of great offenses, and quite simply, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up. So it's going to have to be low scoring. That is the problem with the archetype of great defense, meh on the offense. Because all of the games are going to be low scoring, it's just unpredictable. You have no clue which games you're specifically going to win. And looking at this Washington schedule, it's tough. They're playing great QBs in Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. I still consider Matt Ryan to be really good. They're playing Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers back to back. Then 2 weeks later, guess what? You got Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott twice. This is hard for any defense. They have the defense to do it, but they're gonna get got in some of those games because it's simply nearly impossible to hold those QBs to low games. It is nearly impossible. So I do think Washington will have a good year. We just have no clue whether they're going to go 6-11 because, oh my God, the offenses they're playing are great. Or they can go 12-5 because, wow, their defense is really good. And if their offense just scores 24 points, they should be fine. They really should be, but the question is, can they do that? That is the main question mark that makes them unpredictable. Because a lot of people want to act like there's a lot of deepness to football, which, like there definitely is. There's a lot of depth to it. But, sometimes guys just get burnt. Sometimes guys just miss tackles and miss throws, and that is what that is. And when you're a team that really cannot have mistakes because your offense is mediocre and you're playing fantastic QBs, yeah, you're gonna have losses. Because when you look at Washington's run at the end of the year last season, they didn't play that many great QBs. They did beat Russell Wilson, all respect to it, but they still played Teddy Bridgewater. I think Nick Mullins or CJ Beathard was playing the 49ers game. Jalen Hurts, which turned into whatever the fuck his name was. The third string guy. And they shut down Andy Dalton. Like, there's no denying that this defense is fantastic. There's no denying it. But what we need to realize is we don't know if they're going to win these games because of how powerful the offenses they're playing are. They are going to be a good team, and I hope they make the playoffs. They're going to be one of those wild card borderline teams. I don't think they're going to win the division, but I do think Washington is one of those borderline playoff teams. We just don't know which specific games they're going to win. The comparison I like to draw to teams like this is the 2019 Steelers, when the Steelers had no offense. That year when Big Ben got hurt and then we traded for Minka Fitzpatrick. The Pittsburgh Steelers went on a 6-1 run where we beat the Browns twice, the Cardinals, and the Chargers and Dolphins, but then we also lost to RG3 and the Jets. So we don't know which games they're going to win, which makes Washington unpredictable because they're going to have to win games in the mud, which I think they will. To give a rough little outline, I expect them to go 9-8 to 11-6. I do give them the benefit of the doubt because I love their defense, and I think they have a fantastic rushing game. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. And yeah, hope you enjoyed and have a great day.